If your microphone sounds like this, bright, high-pitched, and fatiguing on the ears, we're going to show you a way to fix this with an EQ, and it's going to sound much better in just a minute. So step number one is I would make just a nice little bell curve. Bring that down by a good 2, 3, 4, 5 decibels, depending on how bright your microphone is. You can adjust how wide the Q is, and then just kind of move it back and forth until you find the brighter spots and you've gotten rid of them. So that's the first thing you can try to do. Very simple and very easy. The other thing I would try is make a high shelf. Normally you're going to boost a high shelf, but make a high shelf, bring that down by a few decibels, move that over to the left and right, and when the bright spots are gone, ba-bam, you just fixed the sound of your microphone. The next option would be to make a high pass filter and just kind of move this over this way, and that's going to cut off more and more and more of the high end, and you can do that until you get rid of the bright spots. But just remember, you might be cutting off too much of the high end doing this, but this is definitely one option. If it's extremely bright, that may help. Another thing you could probably do is make a nice little bell curve, make a cut by 3 or 4 or 5 decibels, use your high pass filter as well. And then if you need to, somewhere around 100 hertz, you can boost up the bass by 2 or 3 decibels, maybe even pull up the mid-range somewhere around, 200 to 400, and bam, that should not really sound so bright anymore. In the unfortunate situation where your microphone's sounding bright, but it's not picking up any low end, the first thing you want to do is make sure there's not a switch or something in the microphone software. If it does have a piece of software, make sure you don't have a bass cutoff turned on. Now, this is going to be very, very hard to fix because if there's no low end being recorded in the recording in the first place, that's not going to turn out well. But in the worst case scenario, I would make just a big bell curve. I would boost that by 2 to 3 to 4 decibels, somewhere around 60 hertz. Just make a big wide boost here. And we might be able to bring in some of those some of those lows, and just kind of move that back and forth until you find something that works. But unfortunately, this is probably never going to sound right. Just remember, if there's no low-end data in the recording in the first place, there's no possible way that you can add that in later. All you can do is really boost up the lower frequencies that are there and hope that it warms it up a little bit or makes enough of a difference to make so it doesn't sound so tinny or hollow. But more than likely, it's always going to sound hollow and tinny. There is no proper way to fix this, but that's pretty much the best you can do. Alright, so if your microphone is sounding bright, high-pitched, fatiguing on the ears, or anything like that, those are a few simple ways you can fix it with the EQ. Remember, everybody's voice, room acoustics, and microphone is different, so you kind of got to play with those things, but that gives you several options to play with. And with those couple of tips right there, you should be able to dial back the high end to where it's not sounding so fatiguing on the ears. After listening to somebody with a really high-pitched microphone for 10 or 20 or 30 minutes, sometimes it can really start grinding on your nerves. So a very high-pitched microphone can be very unpleasant to some listeners. So you definitely want to fix that if you have a really high-pitched voice or a really bright-sounding microphone. Anyways, if you guys like this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you drop down the video's description, you'll see affiliate links, some ways to help support the channel. You're going to see my Discord server, my YouTube channels, and all kinds of good stuff. So check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are awesome. Lightning out. Have a great day. See ya.